Hey everyone, when we talk about manipulation of perception, we're diving into one of the most insidious forms of control that evil individuals use. The ability to shape how others see themselves, a situation, or even the world at large is a power that can have profound consequences. The manipulation of perception isn't always blatant or obvious. In fact, it's often most effective when it's subtle, creeping into the spaces of everyday interactions until you hardly even notice it's happening. The first layer of this manipulation typically begins with the planting of seeds, small, seemingly innocent comments or gestures meant to undermine your sense of self or the reality of a given situation. It can begin with a simple question or remark, one that seems benign on the surface. For example, they might say, "Are you sure that's what happened?" Or "Maybe you misinterpreted that." On its own, this might seem like a casual observation, but when repeated enough, this type of questioning can make you begin to doubt your own recollection of events, your judgment, or even your understanding of your emotions. It's not that they're directly accusing you of being wrong. It's the implied doubt, the subtle undermining that begins to chip away at your confidence in your own perception of reality. Over time, these small instances of doubt grow into a larger, more insidious pattern. The manipulator will reinforce their narrative, spinning their version of events, even when it doesn't align with what you know to be true. They'll twist the facts, omit key pieces of the story, or outright deny things that you've clearly seen or experienced. Their goal is to create a reality where your own understanding becomes something fluid, something unreliable, while theirs is presented as the correct version of what's really going on. This type of manipulation can go even deeper. When they know you're starting to question your own reality, they might escalate their behavior, playing on your fears and insecurities. They'll give you just enough information, enough truth mixed with a dash of fiction, to make you unsure of who you can trust. The manipulator doesn't need to be right all the time. They just need to convince you that you're wrong enough times that you stop trusting your own judgment. They'll isolate you, making you feel like your understanding of situations is faulty and that maybe others see things in a way that's different from your own experience. The more they manipulate your perception, the more isolated you become from your own truth. It can reach a point where you might find yourself wondering if the way you're seeing the world is skewed or even if your feelings are justified. The manipulator's goal is to create a situation where they control the narrative, where they're the sole authority on what's real and true. You, on the other hand, become a passive observer of your own life, questioning every move you make and every feeling you experience. At its core, this manipulation is about power and control. If the manipulator can make you question your own perception of reality, they hold the power. If they can make you feel uncertain about your own memories, your own understanding of situations, then they can bend your actions and your decisions to align with their desires. It's an abuse of trust, a distortion of facts designed to keep you off balance. In more extreme cases, this manipulation can lead to gaslighting, a term that's often used to describe the deliberate and systematic effort to convince someone they're crazy. But even before gaslighting takes full hold, manipulation of perception lays the groundwork. The manipulator will deny things they've said or done, telling you that you're imagining things or misremembering situations. They might turn the tables, suggesting that you're overly sensitive, that you're the one who's creating drama, or that you're just too emotional to see things clearly. Over time, the person being manipulated starts to question their own experiences and thoughts. They may even feel as though they're not allowed to have a perspective or an opinion. And if they do speak up, the manipulator will likely find a way to invalidate their feelings, often suggesting that the person is being irrational or making things up. It's a cruel cycle, one that can leave someone feeling small, confused, and powerless. The danger of this manipulation is that it can often be so subtle that the victim doesn't even realize it's happening until it's too late. The manipulator doesn't need to be overt or aggressive. They just need to nudge reality in a direction where their version of the truth takes precedence. And the more they do it, the more the victim loses touch with their own reality. In this way, manipulation of perception is not just about controlling what someone knows. It's about controlling how they know it. It's about creating a world where your perceptions are always in question, where truth becomes subjective, and where your mind is never fully at ease. It's a strategy that can erode your confidence, erode your relationships, and ultimately erode your sense of self. The longer it goes unchecked, the harder it becomes to trust anything, especially yourself. Isolation is a particularly insidious tactic used by those with malicious intent to control and manipulate others. Unlike overt forms of abuse or aggression, isolation can be subtle, almost invisible, slipping under the radar until it's deeply entrenched. The harm it causes isn't immediately visible, but over time, it can slowly erode a person's sense of self, their relationships, and their overall well-being. When someone with evil intentions realizes you see through their behavior, one of their first moves may be to begin the process of isolating you from others. They know that they can separate you from your support system. They can make you more vulnerable, more dependent, and easier to control. Isolation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process marked by a series of small actions designed to create distance between you and the people who matter to you. It often begins with the manipulator planting seeds of doubt. At first, these comments may seem harmless, even protective. For example, they may casually mention, "I've noticed how distant so-and-so has been with you lately," or "Are you sure you can trust that person?" On the surface, this may seem like innocent concern, but over time, these comments start to add up, creating a subtle sense of mistrust about the people in your life. The manipulator makes it seem as though they are the only one who truly understands you, subtly planting the idea that others might not have your best interests at heart. As the manipulator begins to target your social connections, they might encourage you to spend more time with them, suggesting that it would be better for you to focus on your relationship with them rather than others. They may tell you that you deserve a break from the stress of social obligations, implying that spending time alone is more beneficial than maintaining relationships with friends or family. These subtle suggestions may not feel harmful at first, but over time, they serve to isolate you from those who could provide support and perspective. Eventually, the manipulator will begin to escalate their efforts. They may directly criticize the people in your life, focusing on their flaws or misinterpreting their actions in a way that reflects negatively on them. They might say things like, "I don't know why so-and-so always criticizes you. They don't appreciate you like I do." Or, "I just don't think your friends are really there for you in the way I am." The manipulator's goal is to create doubt in your mind, making you feel like your relationships are unstable, untrustworthy, or unhealthy. This forces you to rely on the manipulator more and more, which in turn deepens your isolation. At the same time, they may discourage you from reaching out to others. If you mention plans to see a friend or family member, the manipulator might undermine those plans by saying things like, "They probably don't really care about you anyway," or "Why waste your time with them when you could be spending it with someone who actually understands you?" Over time, you begin to internalize these messages. You start to question your relationships and whether they are worth maintaining. The manipulator's words begin to resonate with you, leading you to pull away from the very people who could offer emotional support and validation. In some cases, the manipulator may also isolate you by controlling your access to others. They may make themselves the center of your life, subtly pressuring you to prioritize their needs over your own. They might monopolize your time, making it difficult for you to spend time with friends or family without feeling guilty or obligated to spend it with them instead. As they become the primary person in your life, they gain more control over your choices, your feelings, and your actions, all while you become increasingly isolated from everyone else. This isolation can also extend to emotional manipulation. The manipulator might convince you that your other relationships are the problem, not their own actions. They may insist that you're the one pushing people away by being too sensitive or too dramatic, making you feel responsible for the rifts in your relationships. This shifts the blame onto you and makes you believe that you're the one in the wrong, reinforcing the idea that the manipulator is the only one who truly cares about you. They might also gaslight you, denying things they've said or done and creating confusion in your mind about what's real and what isn't. Another form of isolation involves undermining your self-esteem and self-worth. The manipulator may subtly or overtly make you feel like you're not deserving of love or care from others. They might tell you that no one else will ever treat you the way they do, reinforcing the idea that you're lucky to have them. They might play on your insecurities, pointing out your flaws, or